Ladies and gentlemen, we now delve deeper into the heartbeat of entrepreneurship with our next agenda, which promises to be both insightful and engaging. With those words, it's time to kick off our first panel discussion. Capability building and ability building are essential concepts in personal and organizational development, focusing on enhancing skills, knowledge, and capacities. Whether applied to individuals or to groups, these processes aim to cultivate a diverse set of competencies, fostering adaptability and resilience in facing challenges. Through strategic planning, training initiatives, continuous learning, capability and ability building contributes to long-term growth, innovation, and more importantly, sustained success. We now present an insightful panel discussion on capability building and ability building. Today, we embark on this journey to explore the realms of empowering individuals and organizations to reach their fullest potential. Our esteemed panelists will share their expertise and perspectives on fostering capabilities and honing abilities in this ever-evolving landscape. So I hope you're ready for an enriching conversation that delves into the heart of both personal and professional growth. Ladies and gentlemen, firstly, may I please invite on stage our moderator for this discussion, Mr. Balasubramanian Jayam, founder and CEO, The Half Brick. Please join me in welcoming our distinguished panelists, Mr. Velu Narain, founder and CEO, Hogs Technologies, Mr. Ankul Nanavaty, founder and CEO, Sprint Cart, Mr. Anil Raj, Chairman, Homkara Group, President, KPCC Professional Cell, Mysore District. Before they begin, let's have a huge round of applause for them, please. Over to you, Mr. Jayam.
Give me the mic. Sir, first question I would like to ask in the leadership. Okay, in the leadership style, when you're starting, what was your leadership style? Right now, after this many years of entrepreneur journey, what is yours? And then what's the transformation that you have taken?
Okay. So when we initially started, so it was a long way down, so we had a lot of, first point is we should have a goal. Okay. That's very important in any business, for that matter. So, and we should have a vision. So, like you say, talking about coming to capability building and ability building. So, we should have, first point, we should have the confidence.
Okay.
It's very important. We should be confident. So, all the people here, I would, one important thing I want to tell them is, it's very, very important. First, you should have a goal and you should have the determination to go behind that goal. So, this is very, very crucial for any business, for that matter.
Okay, sir.
So, let me...
Yes. Mr. Velu?
I mean, from my perspective, the leadership skill is there in everybody. It's not something which is not there. I mean, when you are going to get it out, that's what it is, really makes a difference. So I used to be the person in schools or college that I never speak, or I mean, I always hesitate to speak, but nowadays people say that when will you stop? So it's like you never need to think of special, building blocks for becoming a good leadership qualities. It's always built into everybody. As sir told, you have to have the guts, right? So you need to go for your own thing, and then as madam also told earlier, so every step you are going to take, that's going to be a failure. So every day of a startup, you will fail and success. So it's not going to be success means you get a early exit, or you get a investment, or you get a revenue. No. It's going to be there every 1 minute or every day of your office. You are going to have a success and failure. you should be ready to face it, and then it will pass on. So it's not going to be waiting for you. You just keep on putting your effort, and that's the major leadership skill. You need to take it before you start, I guess.
Okay, sir. Mr. Ankul, what is your point of view?
So when I joined my family business, and that was my first stint as an entrepreneur, the leadership style is very different when you join a family business. You're supposed to lead from the front. You're supposed to give orders and get the job done. I believe in a startup, you have to learn to lead from the back. It's important to identify good team members, give them the exposure, the systems, the vision. As Sir said, you need to be very clear with your goal. And ensure that very early on, you start getting people who can be your torch bearers, wherein a startup founder spends more time in chasing the goal and not probably the daily things, right? Many times in startups, we feel that there's of course there's crunch of money and funds to hire talent, but it's always good early on to have maybe a co-founder or a team member who can fill in your shoes, wherein the startup founder only focuses on the product and scaling and getting that market fit and that first client or the first investment, whatever you look at. So I think it's very important for a startup founder to focus and not get lost in the day-to-day and try to be the manager. Needs to know that I am the leader and I need not lead from the front, but try and get people to lead and let me be the backseat, right? So I think that's very important in a startup.
Okay. So you said rightly choosing the right co-founder. That is the big $1 million question in front of the student entrepreneurs and then youngsters.
Yes.
How to choose the right co-founder, from your perspective?
So honestly, I haven't been able to get a co-founder still, right?
Okay.
So it's a challenge to find someone who shares your passion, number one. I think the most important thing, see, when people see there is an opportunity, they want to be part of your vision. But most important for a startup is that you can't run out of fuel even when you've run out of fuel, right? So passion is extremely important, like in any business, I would say, not just a startup, but any business. Passion has to be the core that will take you through the, to the finish line. So I think there is no equation or a formula to find a co-founder. I still believe that there is no scientific way of finding a co-founder. You just have to be lucky to meet someone who has the passion, has the commitment, and he's willing to run to the finish line in spite of all the challenges. So I think it's a process.
Yes, Mr. Velu, what is your point of view?
Just to add there, right? I mean, as Sir correctly told, co-founder is nothing but a wife. So you could literally say that. So it's not going to be very easy to get a co-founder. So I mean, how much you take time to get a wife, right? So it's very, very important, because as I told you earlier, right, you are going to have a failure every single day, right, in the life of, but to be frank, you go and read people who already succeeded in life. Every book talks about failure. So even Jayalalitha thought about quitting politics more than 10 times. But she's one of the best which we could see in the world, right? So the failure is going to be there in every day, and then the guy who's standing next to you should literally have the same thought which you have, right? That's very important. So
he should align with your vision.
Exactly.
So what is your point of view?
I would just like to say this with a small example.
Okay, sir.
See, before marriage, a guy and a girl, when they're in love, they're so happy, So once they get married and start living under one roof,
Yes.
So you know how it is. So that's what. So co-founder is also like that.
Okay.
So only when we, experience, only then when the chemistry works, only the frequency should match. Only then it will be successful.
Okay.
So it's only the journey.
The process.
The journey also, then only you will realize whether you are with the right co-founder or not.
Okay.
So it's just like husband and wife.
Okay, sir.
So,
Okay, sir. I'll go to the next question. What kind of boss do you think works best to help a team work together well and come up with new ideas? What kind of boss?
see, a boss should not feel that he is the boss. That's point number one. He should feel that he is part of the team. He is one among them. Okay. See, always respect should be earned, not commanded. You know, when you sit in the boss chair and say, I am the boss, like you have to, you know, so the boss is always right, like, you know, you have to do this, you do this. No, he is not the boss.
Yes.
He has to be with them. He has to lead the way. He should be a leader. He should show them,
Okay, okay.
you know. So you should show them the way. So then they, you know, they should accept in their minds and heart, now he is our leader. He is our, so then, you know, the respect comes by itself.
Okay, sir. Okay.
So he is the right boss.
Yes, Mr. Velu, what is your opinion about it?
I mean, for startup, I don't think there's a word called boss, first of all. So I don't think it's a valid statement for a startup. So, I mean, you need to give the freedom to your employees where they can reach out to you. They should never feel, I mean, you should make a situation, your company doesn't have a boss, everybody's working. So that's very important. So I go to office and there was a room which is allocated for me. I never used to sit. I mean, even in my startup, even the previous designation I was in, I never used to, I mean, accept the table. But there was one you know, funny situation that you take operations guys. Excuse me, any operations guys here. So operations guy usually shout on the phone a lot. You know, you told me to deliver this today and you are not delivering. Or I told like, you are the right guy to sit inside the room. So you sit inside. Now even my co-founder and CFO, I think, is here. I told him to take the room because he used to talk mainly on the call. So you should never give a feel of boss. So you should make sure there is no boss in the company.
Okay,
so that's the boss quality, I could say.
Okay, how you are engaging them to bring new ideas, how you are encouraging them or engaging them, how you are motivating them to get the new ideas in line with your vision for your startup.
So I mean, as sir told, right, you should have a clear vision what you are going to do for like next 1 year, 2 year, and 3 year, and 10 year, right? I have a different thought process for a startup in my mind. So example, I think couple of minutes back we were hearing from Microsoft. But I'm not seeing any Microsoft, Amazon, or Google coming nowadays. But compared to the day Microsoft was started, the startup numbers in a day now, I don't know how many X it is, right? So it's like 100X compared to them, right? But still, why they are not growing so big? Because the early stage itself very clearly said that I need to exit very quickly and get 10 million, 20 million dollars. But that's not the point, right? You started company not to earn money. I mean, of course, ultimate is money, but it should not be the common goal to start a company. So you should have a clear vision and how to pass on that through the team. So that's very, very important in a way. How simply you put that into the team, right? Example, so I personally we as a company wanted to make smartness in the home where my chimney is going to cook how my mother cooks a biryani, right? I miss my mother because she's out of station. So, but I love the way she cooks biryani. So I go to my chimney and tell, can I cook biryani? So it should teach me, okay, I know 4 biryanis, one from this YouTube channel, another one from here. The third one, how your mother cook, I know, because I'm seeing daily. So why can't I take it through that, right? So this is something which you need to put it in a way, instead of, you know, you need to write a C program, you need to write that, you put it in a way that this is what my long-term aim in 5 years, 10 years. So you break it and then keep the daily target and go ahead. I think people will eventually come forward and they'll also share their ideas.
Yes, thank you. Ankul, what is your opinion?
So, taking your first question, I don't believe in a startup because I've run a traditional family business. I think that helped me a lot of things not to do in a startup environment. So, you know, I don't think a startup needs to have a boss. A startup needs to have a leader. And startups don't have employees, they have teams. So, you know, there is no boss culture, no employee culture. They're only a leader and teams. So that's very important when you're setting up a team. And another thing is that, again, I'll go back to my earlier thing, the decision was always left to the boss. In our startup, decisions are not taken by me. I'm only informed that this is what we are going to do.
Okay.
If you have any inputs, please put it to us and we'll run it through. Not that we'll take your suggestion, but this is what we are doing. And what that has changed as a culture is things don't get delayed if I'm around or not around. Things happen, changes get implemented, and sometimes customers send me a message that this, thanks a lot, this is done, but I didn't know it was done, right? It went to the team, they thought it's the right thing to do. So I think what startups need to do is that build very, very strong teams, build the confidence that they can take decisions, because that's the only way to scale fast.
Okay.
Right? If every decision comes to you as an owner or a founder or someone who takes the last call, you will see that your growth somewhere will get stunted because you're dependent on that one person.
Okay.
So that's very important. Now, if you say the leadership style, I think it has to be more of inspiration. I think the job of a leader is only to inspire. It's not really to tell them what to do, how to do. It's, giving them the power, empowering them to think and take decisions for themselves.
Okay.
So the job is only to inspire and maybe mentor, nothing beyond that.
Okay. Okay. So next we'll go to the question category, company culture. Okay. How do you go about creating a positive and supportive work environment within your organization?
So, I've always believed that everything positive or negative starts from the top.
Okay.
Right? Many times we say that the culture is bad of this company. 9 out of 10 times that culture is generally a fabric of the personality of the top management, right? So number one, it rests on the co-founder or the founders. What is the kind of culture they want to build in their team? Secondly, I think the biggest skill that I have developed it's been, and I think it's an ongoing process, is the ability to listen, right? Most owner-driven companies, they start talking the minute you talk about a problem. This is what you need to do, right? We think we are solution givers and we know it all. So I think the best way to get a great culture of teams respecting you as a leader is, number one, if there is anything, just be the last man to speak. Let every small person in the team give their opinion, and you just put in the last bit if you feel something is missing in the puzzle, and let the team take a call. What happens is you're instilling a foundation and a culture of taking the onus of what you do. Otherwise, typically what happens is things go wrong, everyone looks up to the leader because you told us to do this.
Yes.
So it's very important that, and I'm going back to think that you empower your team, give them systems and processes that they can follow, and your job is to create leaders.
Okay.
Right? That's the job of a startup. And I learned it the hard way after 20 years of running a business. So, for all startup founders, it's important that don't think that I'm going to do it all, right? Have a culture of inclusivity. And the most important skill that a startup or an entrepreneur should have is just the ability to listen quietly and not immediately react to a situation, learn to respond to a situation. That I think is the best thing you can do.
Yes, Mr. Velu, what is your opinion?
I think, just to add to point, he captured almost very good points. So just on top of it, I think I was listening one of the Gurumurthy ji's debate. So on that, he was telling, we as Indians have better culture, right? So, but the technology, when you go, we need to definitely grab it from Western. So there's nothing wrong in doing that. So grab the technology and growth from Western, how they are living, but keep your team building relationship with team as you are an Indian, right? So I'll tell you a simple example. You go to shops, right? You go most of these towns, you see that there'll be like North Indians, like Seji and all will have a lot of shops which is running saris and stuff like that. Learn from them how to maintain a team. I'll tell you how. So I don't know how many technology company really know nook and corner of every family in the office, their kids, and when is their birthday coming and what is happening. So, but you go and check with this shop guys, they'll know everything. They literally know everything, and that is a culture I personally want to run in my company. So I am very well connected with everybody. There is a birthday of someone in the company's kids, we all will celebrate together. So that's number one, which is very, very important. And the second thing is, if you give this kind of culture in the company, then everything comes back on its own. Like people will retain with you for a longer time, number one. Second thing is Narayanamurthy told in a couple of interviews that 70 hours working culture. Believe me, I never asked any of my employee to work for 70 hours, but they are working 70 hours a week. And then they work on Saturday, Sunday. I mean, but there's no culture, or we don't have even leave policy saying that you should not take leave more than 10 days. But there are people who takes more than 20 days also, certain times, because they need to go to North India. I mean, we never ask, why are you taking leave? Because they know I have to complete this task, not because a boss or leader or our company is saying, because that's our common goal. So we need to win as a company. So that's something which is very important. Keep Indian culture in the team.
Okay, what I am understanding from both of your answers is, common point is, you are delegating, you are making ensure the employee should have their accountability. That's what I am understanding in between lines. That's what both of you are telling. Sir, your answer, how to build a culture?
See, most important to have a good team, we should have care, concern.
Okay.
And a team should be like a family.
Okay.
So that particular, emotions should be created in the team. For example, like when you, when you're addressing a meeting, you notice somebody feeling sad. It's very important. You call him aside. You ask him, what's your problem?
Okay.
Can I do anything for you? So, he feels like, my boss is, with me. So when you have this emotion in the team, so that takes you a long way to build a good team.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Very important.
Thank you, sir. The last question what I have is, how to do self-sustainable business? Because everybody is, we don't know. How we can make a business self-sustainable?
You're asking $1 million question.
So that's what our younger generation want to know. Any some lights if you can throw in your experience. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Please.
See, according to me, a self-sustainable business is something, even when you're not there, you're generating the income. Like you can say it's a passive income.
Okay, sir.
So it can be any business for that matter. So this is a self-sustainable. So this you have a freedom. You're so independent. Like when you're doing a business, you can you can have your own, spend your time with family, and So it's not that you always have to be behind your business, and So this is what, according to me, is a good, sustainable, self-sustainable business.
Okay.
Self-sustainable for a startup is, everybody, right? So apart from whatever we talked till now, so you have employees and they have a need for fund every month on month, right? So you need definitely take care of that. End of the day, whatever you treat, family, you have a passion, you do work, you have to make sure they are able to live their day-to-day financial needs. So the financial needs going on its own, self-sustaining, is the topmost goal for every startup, right? That's very, very important. And then, company like us, right? So we are a product-based company. We don't do service. So we make modules and platform, right? So it's easily going to take me like 2 years to go to a break-even stage and then do that. So how will you plan your fundings? That's very, very important. The initial investment, what you're going to gain. And then, I think a couple of interviews, Sridhar Vembuji told, when you have a tough time, just reduce the expenses and then keep, you have money for 6 months, try to stretch it for 1 year, right? So, see, anytime anybody plans business growth, right? So, it's not going to exactly happen at the same time, it will be plus or minus. Most of the time, it will delay more than that. And maybe believe in Shiva, so for us, I thought we won't get any business in this year. God grace, we got already 2-3 businesses on this year. So usually in a product-based company, within a year you get a business is a very big deal because you need to create everything, right? So funding is something is very, very important. So the first step you need to make sure for your team is you make sure the funding is well in the company. You have to, of course, go and talk in front of investors and give your passion and then get them convinced for that. That's something which is very important. And then going on a long run for, I mean, see, when you start a startup, right, you will want to launch the rocket on the day one, right? So that will be your main goal to start a startup. I wanted to launch the rocket today itself, but that's not going to eventually happen, right? So what is the best way where I can catch the first step where my company is going to run on its own without financial constraint? That is where you need to start about taking the next step of making a very big goal into the company. So that's very important. Planning is very important to make your revenue cycle starts as soon as possible to make the company as quickly. I mean, for a product-based company, I feel it's like 2 to 3 years. For a service company, I say it's a year at least. So you need to plan very well, and then investment. These two are major for sustainable business.
Okay. Mr. Ankul.
So I'll go a little before that, even before you look at the sustainability of your company. I think, as Indians, we have entrepreneurship in our blood. Secondly, we are blessed with, I believe the Indians are extremely intelligent. So what typically we need to do is first figure out whether our idea is sustainable. I see that with a lot of startup founders, and I've seen even in friends, they switch businesses, 6-8 months. And when you really get into a conversation, the first answer is that, we couldn't sustain. The reason we couldn't sustain is because we couldn't get customers. And why couldn't you get customers? Because the idea wasn't well received. So I think even before you start your entrepreneurship journey, you should do a market testing of the idea with which you want to go to market. So of course there is a huge buzz of startups in India, but today we are seeing a high failure rate, right? So people who invested money in India now saying, okay, we're going to go be very careful. We are willing to write bigger checks, but to smaller people, fewer people. And the reason behind it is because a lot of ideas are not tested, right? We think it's a great idea, and as an entrepreneur, you're so passionate about it. You start hiring a team, you start putting in your money, you see a pipeline for, okay, that I have a war chest for a year. So number one, I would tell every entrepreneur is please test your ideas with friends, family, incubators, and see if there's a market for it.
Okay.
The easiest way to do is find your competitor online. Many a times you feel, arey, mere jaisa idea hai hi nahi. So you feel it's going to be a runaway success. The other side is there is no market for it. And you're probably not the first person who thought about that service or product. So it's very important that you find some sort of backing that yes, there is a proven market for this, or there could be a market for this, right? And then get into the journey and moving forward. Another thing that I think every founder should prepare a 1,000-day model, right? I see a lot of people, I did this for 6 months, didn't work out. Now I'm working on my next idea, my next big thing. And, it's great to learn from failures, but you need to have a deadline of how many failures you're going to take to come up with the next, you need to go back and see why that didn't work.
Correct.
Because either you're burning your money or you're burning someone else's money, right? And the next time when you're raising money for something big, those guys who burnt money may not be the guys who will write you the big check. So please be very careful about this whole euphoria in the market of, startup is an exciting thing. As I just call myself a startup, I'll be able to raise money, go to market and, live my dream.
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone out here who is running a startup, was trying to build a business, has sleepless nights. And, there is a very fantastic thing that Shah Rukh Khan said. I just heard it on YouTube. He's saying to all the people who talk about work-life balance, there is nothing like work-life balance, and I don't prescribe to it myself. If you're an entrepreneur, please forget there is a difference between work and life. There is only work till you don't succeed. If you're not willing to bleed, don't become an entrepreneur, because to be an entrepreneur, you have to have a different bacteria and to be an animal who's willing to go the mile for whatever.
Yes.
There is no Saturday, Sunday. There is no, 50 hours, 48 hours, 70 hours. There is no timeline.
Yes.
So if you're not willing to be the warrior, entrepreneurship is not for you. And I see a lot of people saying that I want to be an entrepreneur, but I will work only 6 hours a day because I want to go and do my thing. I want my life. I want to enjoy. Then entrepreneurship is not for you. Just go and get a job, switch off after 6 o'clock and just have a great life. Because there is no success for an entrepreneurship till you're not willing to. And that's the reason why entrepreneurs succeed also, because 70% of them will die midway. So you have a higher, chance of going to the finishing line if you don't give up. So, and then coming to sustainability, 1,000 days is what you need to plan for. Like any business school will teach you. Today they say, okay, I want a customer in, product market fit, and I get a customer within 12 months, 16 months. It's very difficult. You got to be lucky if your product is brilliant and well accepted, but that's a very small percentage. So you need to have a war chest of sustenance for 1,000 days to take care of yourself, your family, and the employees that you sell your dream to. Because a startup is all about storytelling, right? Because you have nothing to offer, no fancy office, no perks, maybe no 5-day job, no big salaries.
Yes.
The only thing you have to give is a great story. So you have to be a great storyteller to get that faith in you that, listen, if we go with this guy and stick it on for 3 or 5 years, life could be good. So, I think it's very important that you build sustainably. And yes, along the way, if you can get 1 or 2 customers in your first 1 or 2 years, that's a great boost, not just for you, but also for your employees. That keeps you going.
So it was wonderful.
So that's very
wonderful,
important.
wonderful, Uncle. I hope these insights, what I understand is before, if the tree is going to take 8 hours to chop, before that you have to sharpen your axe for at least 6 hours. Right? Before starting your startup, just do proper research with proper market fit. That's what I understanding from Uncle's insights. Now, as questions open to the audience, 2 questions we can allow. After that, we can wind up the sessions. Audience, any questions to the panel members?
Thank you. Very good morning to all of you, and thank you for the wonderful discussion. My name is Rajnikant. I'm the co-founder of Saira. We are a job platform for inclusive and diverse hiring. My question to the panelists is, when do you decide to stop? Because you go on as an entrepreneur, and then I've seen many entrepreneurs making the mistakes even for 5-7 years because we never know when to stop. So when do you decide when to stop?
Anyone?
Maybe I'll take it.
Yes.
I mean, that's a good question and interesting too. I mean, if you ask exactly a startup guy like me, when do you stop? I don't want to stop, so really speaking. But to take the question little reframe, just correct me if I understand right. When things are not going in your plan, when you exactly need to take that call, okay, this is the right time to stop, right? So I would very straightforward put that as 2 things. 2 fuels should be there very much in your company. As I told, the funding is very important. So as long as you have that, you can run. But as Sir told, so it's not about only funding. Your passion will drain every day. It's not about only the fund, right? I mean, as if you are not doing the proper market study, so you will eventually lose that. I mean, that fuel also is going to come every day. No startup will definitely have the same energy what you had in the day one when you register your company. So that's I mean, it's not companies running good or bad. That's natural. So it's the day you start your startup. I mean, come on, I'm a startup company. I have registered. I mean, actually, we even clapped for the day we registered the company. Oh, so you'll have a lot of energies, but it's not going to be in the same level. So I mean, again, there is a indirect reason for these 2 to run out, right? Either planning is went bad, or as Sir told, you might have not did a proper market study. Then I really appreciate KSR kind of groups. So I mean, KSR is actually giving you an option to get failed. So that's what even we told, right? So I mean, guys, come and try and fail. You no need to spend your full time. I learned by spending 20 years, right? So almost 20 years of failures, do again and then learn. When somebody is giving with all the facility, you come and try and fail. So take up that, and then these two are the major fuel, which I guess maybe you wanted to add some other points, please.
So it's a very, very difficult question because there's no straight answer to it. And I think again it falls back on the personality of entrepreneur as to when to stop. Obviously you'll be forced to stop when you run out of money and your employees run away. But if you say when to, I mean, there are many times when you you run into a roadblock. So I remember when we were building, we had one permission required from Google for the product to actually work. And we realized that Google's not going to, doesn't offer it. And I got to know at 4 a.m. on a Sunday morning when my coder messaged, I've been struggling with this for 6 days and it's not going to happen. And we hit a wall that, listen, this product can't work if we don't get this permission. And at that point in time, at 4 a.m. when I read the message, it was like the whole world coming down on me. Everything that we spent, we never thought that this would be a roadblock. And I just need to wrap up everything tomorrow because without that we can't. But, as you said, negativity for an entrepreneur is available in wholesale every morning for free, right? It is positivity that only comes from here. So I think the day you will eventually stop is when you run out of fuel here. At the same time, your product market fit has to be right because no matter how passionate you are, we see a lot of failed, passionate entrepreneurs, right? Because they sort of refrain themselves from reality and saying, "Nahin, I know my product will work. I'm just waiting for that one right customer." Question is, if you don't see that over a sustained period of time, that Santa Claus is not coming looking for you. So it's very important for an entrepreneur to be agile, to be very aware, right? But stopping shouldn't be, when do you need to stop? Right? You stop when your mind tells you that, listen, it's going to be very difficult, it's going to be harmful for me, my family and my employees. But typically, let me tell you, an entrepreneur never stops because this won't let you stop till you succeed. So, that's something that I think that, an entrepreneur should hold on to his passion. The only way you'll stop is if you run out of the fuel, right? And that too, when I mean fuel, just not money, also passion.
So just to add, so your stop is only for that particular aim, right? So you're not done yet. So
Yeah.
Entrepreneur thought is a monkey. So if it comes in your body, right, you can't get it out. So it will always itch you, and then you first thing you need to do. If you are an employee, right? If you are an employee, you want to start a company, first thing you need to do is resign. I really tell you. So this is not. So it's a disease. It's you can assume it's a cancer or whatever. So entrepreneur feel is a monkey. If it comes, you need to first get out. You can't stop it. You're out. So it's a disease. You need to get out, and then even if you fail in the first attempt, that's again adding to your experience, right? So as that start, you failed or you stopped, but still you're on. So you can go for the next one even better plan.
Just want to add one more thing. Something that I read very beautifully is, for an entrepreneur, there is no such word as failure. You either succeed or you learn. So don't ever think that you failed, right? So as long as you're willing to learn, you'll only fail the day you're not willing to get up, right? The monkey is left your back. Till then, I think you're just someone who's seeking for the right product and to be successful. Another thing is that a wonderful thing I read is that, success is a lousy teacher. Befriend a failure or your mistakes because that's where you learn. Success doesn't teach anybody anything. It just makes you pompous. So yeah, that's the two things that I wanted to share on.
Okay, thank you. Last question, yeah.
Hi, this is Priyanjit, co-founder and CEO of Logi.ai. So this question is for Ankul.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned about shared leadership, right? That how you would want others to take up ownership and become leaders. But, one of the leading causes for startups to also close is co-founder conflicts, right? Between co-founders. So how do you manage co-founder conflicts? And again, a follow-up to that question, sometimes it's not the funds, but due to these conflicts, it drains out your energy, your motivation, and you don't feel like putting those hours anymore, right? So how do you manage the conflict in the top leadership specific for startups, co-founder conflicts? And what could be the solution? Because this is probably like one of the biggest reasons why most startups close down also, right? Even if they have money or other things as well. So would love your perspective, and then others can add on as well.
Sure. So I don't have a co-founder, but I'll tell you what my learning from that is that I'm a completely non-tech guy running a technology business, quite oxymoronish. But so I'm the business side, and I'm completely dependent on my tech team for the development, right? So I was looking for a co-founder who's strong from the technology space. I got someone on board, and someone I knew for 10 years, and suddenly we had a sort of a disconnect in the sweat equity when we were discussing, right? We agreed on something, then suddenly he realized that it's a very big opportunity, and then he had a change of heart, right? So obviously, being a tech guy, he was horrible at numbers, horrible at EQ, and horrible at business. So he came back to me and said, I think I'm shortchanged, and so on and so forth. I said, listen, in business, once you agree on something, you can't go back, and this is a red flag for me. Yes. And we sort of still are great friends, but we sort of, so getting a good co-founder is again number one, you have to have a shared personality, either extremely common or extremely diverse. And I tell you how each of them work very well. If you are extremely like your co-founder, you can sort of shadow each other, right? That I know if Ankul is going to think this way, in this situation, even if he's not around, I know this is the call you take. So that helps. When you have co-founders with different skill sets, classic example, boat. Aman and Samir, I've met Aman once or twice. They're extremely different people. They don't even work out of the same city, right? So Samir is in Bombay, he's in Delhi. They meet once a month, and they're running a successful business. Now, when I asked him, what is the, the ingredient that you guys have been able to scale and do things and thrive, he's saying we have very, very divided portfolios, right? So one guy handles product and marketing, the other guy handles business decisions and money. So one great way of managing co-founders is knowing your strengths and then dividing your work, or appreciating that both of us have common strengths, right? And let's take decisions together and think in the long term without any conflicts. Now conflicts can come up, but yes, you got to address it, right? You can't really shove it under the carpet or put it in the closet, because it'll only get bigger when it comes out. So yes, conflict management happens, and we see great startups falling apart because co-founders couldn't sort of. So yes, choosing a co-founder is a very, very tricky thing. It's choosing a wife, but today we also know that the divorce rates in India are going high. So there is no guarantee that even a co-founder will hold on for a long time. So it's a very tricky thing. I think it's got to do with destiny. No hiring company is going to help you this. I'm going to get you a great guy or so on. So you just keep on looking for your star. That's how it happens. But I think it's a great way for co-founders to have diverse portfolios where you don't, because they say the two smart, intelligent people from different backgrounds coming for a common goal. So if you put both of them in the same box, there will be conflicts. It's always better, I think, to diversify portfolios, because that's how I did when I got in business with my dad. And I think I learned that if we had to work together, we wouldn't be able to go home to the same house. So it's always good to, divide your. I don't know if I've been able to answer that very clearly, but that's my take.
If you're willing, maybe I'll give a little bit adding there. I mean, it's of course a wife. Marriage life is wife with emotion. So the co-founder, you keep wife without emotion. So basically conflicts you can't stop at all. So my perspective, what I would prefer you is make the agreement very clear. So you should have an exit policy for co-founder. I mean, conflict of interest came because there is something which he feels right. I mean, it's not about right or wrong. So something which he feels right? So your co-founder feels right. So I even went through all agreements are, when we write, there are a lot of places you will feel, even to go to hospital, right? We'll sign a form. Hospital is not responsible for death. Who will sign that by reading as it is, right? So same kind of statement should be there in your agreements very clearly. Okay, You're my co-founder, we are aligned very clearly. The day conflict of interest comes, this is the exit policy. I'll buy you a share at this price and then you go ahead. So this is something which makes things very simpler, and then don't take very emotional. I mean, he might be right in what he's thinking. It's good to, if there's a conflict, it's good to exit him very quickly. So that's much important with the agreement.
Okay.
One small point. When I was starting my, registering the startup, and because we have a legacy business, we have lawyers on board. One good thing that we did is for everything from day one, we had contracts. So where you're hiring people, please have an employee contract or an agreement. You have a co-founder, anybody before he touches your code or gets any insight into your business, please have very strong agreements. Because many a times what happens is we realize that, we get a guy on board, you get very excited that someone is willing to work with you first, right? Because you're a solopreneur and, so first that just getting someone to work with you smart, it's a high. Then you feel scared that if I ask him to sign something, he'll run away. But be very clear that, yours is an intellectual property, or let's say a product or service, or anything that's unique. It's something that you've created out of a lot of thought and hard work. So please protect yourself, because things are good till they are good. It gets ugly only when it gets ugly, right? And then you feel, usko to sab pata hai, I have not made him sign anything. So just be very clear with your contracts. It's a small expenditure of ₹1 lakh to get all your contracts in place, but go a long way when you're trying to scale. It's a peace of mind.
So just wanted to say something to all the youngsters who are sitting in the back. See, whether you are from Jamal Bajaj Institute or XLRA, whatever, but in business, if you want to be a successful businessman or a businesswoman, it's your street smartness what takes you ahead in life. This, you please remember this always. It's a simple, practical, common sense. And of course, there is no compromise for hard work and dedication. So please, you remember this. That's all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.